In the 1990s, researchers discovered something that completely contradicted everything the medical world believed about fat and weight. People living in Mediterranean countries, especially Greece or Italy or southern France, were eating mountains of fat-rich foods, and most of that fat came from one source, extra virgin olive oil. They cooked with it, they poured it on vegetables, they dipped bread in it, and it showed up in almost every meal they ate. According to the nutrition rules that were being pushed at the same time, this should have been a disaster. Because in the United States, people were being told to do the exact opposite. Americans were encouraged to cut fat down to 20 to 25% of daily calories. Butter was removed, natural fats were avoided, and low-fat products filled grocery stores. But here's what actually happened. Mediterranean populations, getting 30 to 40% of their total calories from fat, had some of the lowest obesity rates in the developed world. Meanwhile, during the same period, obesity rates in the US skyrocketed. So researchers were stuck with a contradiction. More fat, yet less obesity. Less fat, yet more weight gain. It didn't line up with the messaging that we had been given, because most people had been taught that calories were all that mattered, and that fat, by definition, made you fat. Then scientists finally tested this head to head, and the results caught everyone off guard. In a large clinical trial, thousands of people were placed on a Mediterranean-style diet. One group was told to add several tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil every single day, and they were allowed to eat unlimited calories, no calorie counting, no portion control, no fat restriction. Another group followed a low-fat diet, similar to what has been recommended for years. And to the researchers' surprise, despite eating more fat and more total calories, the olive oil group lost more weight, because as we're about to find out, extra virgin olive oil doesn't behave like other fats. It works in a unique and powerful way. So I'm going to show you how extra virgin olive oil actually helps you burn fat and how to use it the right way to get results. And at the end, how to make sure you're getting the real thing so that you lose weight instead of accidentally gaining it back. Now, to begin with, hunger doesn't always behave the same way when people eat extra virgin olive oil, because hunger isn't actually decided by how much food is in your stomach. It's controlled by chemical signals that start in your gut and travel to your brain. When you eat olive oil, one of its main fats, oleic acid, reaches your small intestine, and there your body converts part of it into a compound called OEA. OEA is a natural satiety signal. Its job is to tell your brain that you've had enough, and it sends that message through my favorite nerve. I know it's kind of a geeky thing to have a favorite nerve, but it's the vagus nerve, kind of like Las Vegas, except spelled V-A-G-U-S. The vagus nerve, the direct communication line between your brain and your gut. So the signal bypasses decision-making entirely. That's why people don't have to try to eat less when they consume extra virgin olive oil. They just do. And this is where olive oil separates itself from everything else. OEA doesn't show up with sugar. It doesn't show up with protein. It doesn't show up with most other fats. It only responds strongest to the type of fat found in prevalence in extra virgin olive oil. That's part of the reason why calories alone can't explain what happened in the study. Now, here's the part most people don't expect. Olive oil doesn't just reduce hunger. It reduces food addiction, especially addiction to processed foods, the kind of foods that light up the brain's reward system and make people want to keep eating even when they're not even hungry. When you're regularly consuming olive oil, that craving becomes weaker. In fact, just the aroma of extra virgin olive oil is enough to activate part of this satiety response. This helps explain why the olive oil group in that Mediterranean study could eat more fat, more calories, and still lose more weight. They weren't trying to fight off hunger. Olive oil was fighting it off for them. And this is one of the first powerful fat loss effects researchers discovered. It turns out olive oil also helps you burn fat without lifting a finger. When people eat meals made with it, their bodies actually burn more calories just by digesting the food. This process is called thermogenesis. That's the simple energy your body uses to break down a meal. Every time you eat, some calories are burned in digestion, but not all foods trigger the same thermogenic response. When researchers compared meals made from saturated fat like cream or butter to meals made from extra virgin olive oil, the difference was clear. The olive oil meals triggered a much higher thermogenic response. It's interesting. That means you burn more calories after eating without more moving, more exercise, without changing how you eat. Your metabolism is literally running hotter, and it lasts for hours after the meal. Now, here's something most people were never taught about their own body. You don't just have one type of fat, you actually have two. The first is called white fat, that's the fat that your body uses to store energy. It's the fat that you can pinch. It's the fat that builds up around your belly and your hips and your thighs. While fat's job is to save calories for later, the second type is called brown fat. And brown fat does the exact opposite. Instead of storing energy, it burns it. Its entire purpose is to create heat. That's why it's often called your body's internal furnace. And even though brown fat only makes up about 1 to 2% of your total body fat, it burns calories at a massive rate when it's active. Gram for gram, brown fat can burn about 300 times more energy than white fat. So when it's turned on, your body starts wasting calories as heat instead of storing them as fat. Now, this is where extra virgin olive oil plays a very specific role. It contains two things that brown fat needs to work properly. The first is polyphenols. Polyphenols are plant compounds that act like on switches inside your body. They activate a fat burning pathway called AMPK. When AMPK turns on, it tells your body it's time to burn energy instead of saving it. It's also the same pathway that apple cider vinegar actually kicks on. Now, that signal increases the activity of brown fat and ramps up the machinery that burns calories as heat. But the polyphenols in extra virgin olive oil don't work alone. Once brown fat is turned on, it still needs the right fuel to actually burn calories. And that fuel comes from oleic acid. Oleic acid is the main healthy fat in extra virgin olive oil, making up to about 73% of it by volume. And it plays a very important role in fat loss. Inside brown fat cells, oleic acid binds to a special protein that allows brown fat to burn energy as heat. Without fatty acids like oleic acid present, brown fat can't burn calories at all. So you can think of it this way. The polyphenols in extra virgin olive oil flip the switch that turns brown fat on, and the oleic acid gives brown fat what it needs to keep burning. That combination is part of what makes extra virgin olive oil so much better at burning fat than the alternatives. Now, there's one more way it can help you lose fat, and this is something that most people never hear about. It has to do with your gut. Inside your digestive system live trillions of bacteria. Some of them help you burn fat, some of them make fat loss harder. And the balance between these two groups has a huge influence on your weight. Now, here's where extra virgin olive oil comes in. The polyphenols we just discussed don't get fully absorbed in your small intestine. Instead, a large portion of them make it all the way down to your colon, and that's where your gut bacteria live. And the bacteria that help you burn fat use those polyphenols as fuel. It feeds them. It helps them grow. Over time, that shifts the environment in your gut, and you end up with more bacteria that support fat burning and fewer that push your body toward fat storage. Also, as those beneficial bacteria grow, they produce compounds that calm inflammation and improve how your body handles energy. Those are called postbiotics. It's important because chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the biggest barriers to fat loss, not to mention one of the biggest drivers of disease in general. This is why olive oil doesn't just help in the short term, its effects compound over time. The longer it's part of your diet, the more supportive your gut environment becomes. And that changes how your body responds to food, even when you're not even thinking about it. Now, all that sounds great, but if you don't use olive oil the right way, you'll never see the fat loss benefits. For starters, you need to keep in mind that fat still has calories. A lot of people will make the mistake adding olive oil to everything, on top of everything. They drizzle it on their meals, they cook with it, they might even take spoonfuls of it. Meanwhile, they're also continuing to eat the same way that they always have, and nothing else changes. 1 tablespoon of olive oil has about 120 calories. Add 3 tablespoons a day, and that's 360 calories. Do that consistently over the course of a year, and you've added well over 130,000 calories to your diet. Your body doesn't care how healthy these calories are if they're never replacing anything. So the rule that actually matters is this: replace, don't just add. When you use extra virgin olive oil, it needs to take the place of other fats. That might mean swapping it for margarine or vegetable oils or bottled salad dressings or cooking sprays, or maybe even do a little cooking with it. The goal is not to eat more fat. The goal is to eat better fat. And while I prefer to cook with avocado oil, especially at higher heats, I want to clarify that you can cook with extra virgin olive oil. Cooking it doesn't strip away the properties that help your body burn fat, and it can hold up to moderate heat, usually 400 degrees or less. So if it's below that, go for it. It's a great option to cook with. Now, the next thing that matters is portion awareness. Most people dramatically underestimate how much oil they're actually using. A drizzle can easily turn into 3 or 4 tablespoons. That's why measuring matters. matters, at least in the beginning. For most people, 1 to 2 tablespoons per day is enough to see the results. That amount shows up consistently in the successful studies that we talked about. More isn't necessarily better. Once you hit that range, you're already activating the benefits, and piling on extra doesn't speed things up. It just adds calories to your body that it doesn't really need. Timing matters too. Using olive oil with meals helps trigger the appetite signals that we talked about earlier. Using it before your largest meal can make it easier to stop eating sooner without even thinking about it. Also, using it consistently matters more than taking it perfectly. Now, when it comes to taking the right kind, you have to be careful. If you want fat loss benefits, the oil has to meet a few basic standards. First, the label must say extra virgin olive oil, nothing else. Not pure, not light, not just olive oil. Those are all refined oils that have had the beneficial compounds stripped out. Second, freshness matters. Olive oil is a fresh product. Its most powerful compounds break down over time. If there's no harvest date on the bottle, or the date is more than 12 to 18 months old, or there's a blend of different oils, it's not 100% from one region, that's a red flag. Third, the bottle should be dark or metal. Light damages olive oil. So a big plastic container of it, probably not quality oil. Clear glass and clear containers lets the damage happen faster. And then there's the simplest test of all, the taste test. Real extra virgin olive oil doesn't taste neutral. It tastes grassy, slightly bitter, and it creates a peppery burn in the back of your throat. That burning sensation comes from the same compounds that activate fat burning pathways in your body. Some people even cough the first time they try a high quality oil. It's a good sign. If the oil tastes flat, greasy, or bland, it won't do what we've been talking about. Because without those compounds, olive oil just becomes another source of calories. And that's why 2 people can use olive oil and get completely different results. One is using a tool that helps the body burn fat. The other is pouring calories on food and wondering why nothing changes. Now, if that wasn't enough to convince you to start adding this incredible food into your diet, here's something you need to know. If you're not actively choosing to eat a healthy fat like extra virgin olive oil, then chances are you're unknowingly eating a very different kind of fat instead. A fat that shows up in just about everything you buy at the store and in almost every restaurant meal you eat. Today, this other more toxic fat makes up as much as 10% of everything the average American eats. And once it gets into your body, it doesn't pass through. It gets stored. It builds into your fat tissue. And research shows it can take up to 6 years for your body to fully clear it out. So if you feel like you're doing everything right, if you've cleaned up your diet, if you're getting plenty of exercise, but the weight still won't come off the way that it should, there's a very good chance this is the reason why. I break all this down in my other video, the #1 most dangerous healthy choice making you sick. In it, I explain what this fat is, where it's hiding, and why it is quietly sabotaging fat loss, and how it's driving chronic disease even when you think you're eating healthy. I'll include a link to that video right here. Click it to watch it next, and I'll see you there.